Way, Jade, welcome to
Thank you,
Dealroom
Andrii.
Exchange. So great to see you here. Can you say a quick few words around who you are, what you do, and what brought you here?
Yes. So my name's Jade, running Project Europe alongside Kitty. It's a very small team, just the two of us. The way
Literally two of you.
it's just the two of us and Ivana, who keeps actually everything in check and helps us stay legal and compliant, and also helps every single company we invest in actually invest in and set up their company in different countries across Europe. So the actual work starts with Ivana. But the reason we're able to operate at scale is because of the backers that backed Project Europe a year ago, the number of investors we have, founders that came along the journey with us. And so our unit of scale is friends and people that want to follow on the movement of what Project Europe is building.
Right. So what is Project Europe?
Literally, Project Europe is it's an earlier stage conviction backer in very earnestly ambitious, talented young founders building across Europe under the age of 25. And we come in, we meet them pretty much at inception stage, if not before. And our role is to turn around and give permission, double down on the conviction they have in themselves, and do everything we can through our network to help them build phenomenal companies from Europe.
What brings you to Riga?
Riga, TechChill. Actually, there's a friend, Maria, amazing Maria, who runs, she said she was 22, has been building, she founded TechChill 10 years ago, and we've been exploring different hacker communities, builder communities outside of the kind of mainstream hubs of the UK, Germany and France, and looking into the Balkans, the Baltics, Eastern Europe in general. And I met Maria 4 months ago, and what she's done for this ecosystem with Shipyard now, having started TechChill 10 years ago, is extraordinary. And so we came yesterday, we saw the demos at Shipyard, and now we're going to talk a little bit about hacker houses today and hacker communities across Europe. But Riga's also beautiful.
It is.
So that's a good reason.
So what is it about hacker houses and communities that you're actually interested in? Like, why is it something that you're sort of interested in? Why are you looking at different ones? Is it something that you're building as well for Project Europe? Do you consider Project Europe as like one big hacker house?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think that, roughly around probably a year ago, 16 months ago, the idea of hackathons were still quite novel across Europe, and things like cropping up and creating these moments of maximum in a certain space and bringing a lot of fun in the ecosystem to get involved. And now you see hackathons cropping up pretty much every week.
I know, yeah. It's changed suddenly.
Totally, yeah. And actually the students are running them, and it's amazing for Europe. And actually the reason that we're thinking and asking ourselves questions about how hacker communities bring people together, the way that projects are produced during a hackathon, is actually a little bit different from hacker communities themselves, like Shipyard, like Pluto House. And I guess the question is, what is the objective when you bring a room of very talented people together, very talented engineers, to build in a short amount of time? Are you looking for great projects that can be spun out of those hackathons? And you get people that are like almost see hackathons as like bounty hunting, and like sell their projects within like 20 hours and build like quite hypey but great products. Yeah. And then you have vertically focused hacker houses and hacker communities that extend that timeline and actually give permission to an environment where you're not chasing for a hackathon win or for like a LinkedIn post clout. You are building in the knowledge that in that room at that time, for that week, for that amount of time, you are with the best company of people that have different theses behind the future of the area of technology that they're obsessed by. So in Zurich with the robotics house, everybody there that was run by Pluto, it was the highest density of talent I've I kind of just went and crashed for the week there. And we had there were robotics arms from a robotic learning company, Yannick's business. He'd given loads of hardware over. There were GPUs in the house. Sumin and Christian were cooking for 20 people and they'd flown them all in. And for 1 week there was, if you want to build in robotics and you are young and hungry and just want to get stuff done and build with tangible things, that was a hacker community made for those people for a week. So a split moment of time where you're given permission to build with the people alongside you that are pushing the definitions of what is actually physically possible in a week.
So, I mean, and you invest not necessarily in companies, but also just in founders with ideas, I believe, right?
Yeah, I mean.
So do you run hackathons yourselves then? Like, have you invested in any companies created in hackathons?
We have invested in founders that have come to our hackathons. Two actually. One came to Project Lovables in the summer, and then our latest team that we've backed actually was at the Project 11 Labs hackathon in Warsaw, a Polish team. But we've never invested in. Hackathons are, I think, in their best form sometimes just moments for great engineers and great founders just to get together and actually have some fun and be with each other. The ideas that are built there are manifestations sort of of themselves in the way they're thinking, but we've never explicitly invested in an idea that's come out of it.
That's fair enough. So it's been a year. It's been a year now that you started. I mean, at this stage, I'm not sure you can talk necessarily about results per se, but how did you measure your results in any way, shape, or form, and what are they?
Yeah, it's you're right. It's too early to tell, but there are probably like 3 metrics, maybe on a personal level, that I look at of the last 10 months, and the first one is, are we reaching the right people, and are the right kinds of founders that we want to work with either being referred into us or coming through the pipeline? And that's 100% a resounding yes, which it's changed a little bit over the last 10 months. We had many more applications in the beginning from almost like hackathon applications, more from the Nordics than from the UK. And over the last 10 months, we've actually, more recently in the last second half of the first year, met founders that have been truly building their life's work for at least sort of 4 or 5 years. And this is the moment at which they want to double down on that and build a company, not a project. So, in terms of the founders we're meeting and the talent, Europe is just phenomenal, and Project Europe is needed for that. So that's a great thing. I think the second part will be the founders that we've backed already, how they've done. And I take myself back to July of last year, when we had 6 teams and we brought them all to London. We had no budget to do anything other than feed them fish and chips outside on a muse outside Harry's podcast studio. We were like, let's just order takeaway fish and chips, and we'll just talk about the companies they want to build. And then we're now 20 teams, 34 founders. 10 of those companies have raised exceptional follow-on seed rounds with global VCs around the world, and are now working with awesome partners, and that's been amazing to be a part of. And then the third one I've now forgotten, but it was there. It'll come back to me.
Oh, okay. I mean, whenever you remember, we can get back to that. So I was wondering, in general, do you consider yourself a VC?
Personally?
No, the Project Europe. Is Project Europe a VC?
It's a really good question. We back and we invest in talent and people, 100%. But where maybe we do things a little bit differently is that we're on the ground all the time trying to meet people, and we show up and do weird, really silly things that often, at the beginning of the idea, like the hackathon we launched today in Barcelona, we're like, it's just really silly. But actually, if we show up and we bring an amazing energy to Barcelona, we bring lots of different Spanish founders, operators, investors, great engineers, we can have this week in Barcelona and bring a maximum into the beach in Southern Europe and put Spain on the map a bit. So we're backers for the teams that we work with, but then at the same time, I don't know, just showing up in the ecosystem more generally and creating environments to be exuberant and to push ambition is a character within Project Europe that I think the ability to work with the best teams in Europe relies on that core principle of showing up where others don't and continuously on the ground making the relationships with the youngest founders in the continent.
Right. Because on the outset, when I think about it, it does sound like you are kind of rethinking the idea and the concept of an accelerator. And I used to work for an accelerator myself, and there is a reason why there are almost no more accelerators left, not in Europe, not elsewhere, except for very much developing ecosystems. So would you consider that to be the case? Because you're mostly like YC at this point, I guess. It does sound simple. The deal is quite similar as well. So is that how you think about yourselves at all?
It's interesting. I think yes and no in different ways. So we'll probably work. The whole thing's a work in progress, right? As you say, it's changing all the time. But I think we'll work roughly with about 20 to 30 teams roughly a year.
Okay.
So we're very that is really important to us. We work very closely with our teams. It's very intentional. So in that way, it's our responsibility with the teams that we work with, and the fact that we've doubled down on the conviction within themselves and what they're building to have outcomes for as many of them as we possibly can. But the reason why it's probably not an accelerator is that the teams are totally driving their own journey and success. We are not a structured program, or we don't have an 8-week build and then you have a demo day. We come in precisely where the team is at. We backed this amazing 18-year-old founder in London, Selin. She's building Sooner, gut health wearable, and she's 18 years old. She was studying university and she dropped out of UCL and now is just building her company with her co-founder. And so there are no strict timelines to the way we work with our teams, and we're there to come in at any point in the moment that they are being sort of either pulled into their next fundraise or need to address that. That's also the support that's there. But there's no one-size-fits-all program for any of the companies we work with.
When you say you're working with 25 to 30 teams per year, is there a time when you sort of disengage, or at least sort of get less involved with the team? Because you cannot just keep adding teams that you are very much involved with, right?
Kitty and I are we sort of assume that our teams will grow up and flee. And I'm sure that will happen, and we can't.
Doesn't sound like it happened yet.
We do these things called co-works, which we sort of just made that up, and now it's weirdly a thing.
Now it's a thing.
It's funny how you can just wand something up and it becomes legit. Anyway, the co-works are there to bring the community together with all the backers that are there in the ecosystem, and we do them every 3 months. And so far, pretty much all companies that we've backed have come to all of them. And whether or not they've raised their seed rounds and now working with global VCs that are going to be able to support them far, far better than we are at that point. But I think there's something to be said, and therefore maybe this is what comes. I'm remembering my final point of the success of the last year and what that looks like. Of the community element in a very intentional way is important and it matters. These founders are building from everywhere from Estonia to Serbia to Athens. The Project Europe is their community upon which they see the most ambitious companies being built with peers that are going through exactly the same questions, challenges, but also they're actually doing it. They've got confidence to do it, and the teams that we first backed have now gone on to raise their seed rounds and are hiring and are bringing amazing people onto their teams. So then the teams that we backed only last month get to spend time in these co-works with the first teams and see that 6 months down the line when they're like, oh my God, we're going all in, we're incorporating, Project Europe's backed us. It's very possible. And that's having role models and peers that the success and the real tangible proof of ambition is in front of you and it's there. And so the community rallies each other on. In answer to your question, yes, I don't think we're not just going to become this rolling ball of I don't think it would survive, but I think Project Europe founders will always say this. We will always do a year regroup once a year for every founder that has been backed by the movement, and that's really important. But it's early days. There's 35 of us. I hope that in 3-4 years it's 100.
Well, we'll speak about it in 3-4 years, so we will check. I will check in again. So you have this under 25 limitation. Did you drop the lower limit? Or is it still there? Is it still 18 to 25, or is it just
I didn't
anything?
even know we had a lower limit.
When it was announced, it was 18 to 25.
That's probably sensible. Maybe that's legal as well. Ivona would
We
tell
need to
me
ask
now.
Ivona. Yeah.
But yeah, that's exactly where we.
So I mean, it's been talked about to death, but once again, so why does it make sense to have this limitation of under 25?
I think it makes sense, and in some cases it doesn't always make sense as well. We meet some people that are amazing, starting their first companies very early stage, and actually are older than 25, obviously. And then I feel sad we can't back them. So there's like sense, and then there's nonsense too in it. But for the specific type of founder we're trying to work with and back in Project Europe, on the most part, they have this like true sense of naive ambition to what it is that they're building and what they want to achieve. That hasn't been shaped by too many years of forces outside of their own willpower to shift that sense of the enormity and just like the fearlessness almost. These founders are undogmatic. They are fearless about what they want to achieve, and a part of that comes from the fact that very early on in their lives, I could go through every single team we have, and they all have stories from the ages of sort of 12, 13 to present day, where there has been a breadcrumb trail that has been weaving the moment that they are today building their companies. And it's our role to get into that trail as early as possible and put the backing in there as soon as we can. We back very young people, and there's lots of different characters that come with them too.
I can imagine. And you previously you were with Antler, I believe, at some point, right? So was it similar? Was it different? Because Antler also sort of works with founders first and foremost, right? So like, what are the differences? What are the similarities that you?
Great question. I worked in the Dutch fund at Antler, and we were working across like talent in Europe. Had the most amazing time with the team. It was a lot of fun. I think that there's differences in Antler runs residencies, and they bring great like high agency people together to meet one another and to form co-founding partnerships. And there's more structure to it as well. It's a real program, and you come out at the end with an investment or not, and that's the way that it works across obviously all the different funds. I don't know, talent spotting. I don't really know. I still ask myself the question every day, like what is it that we're actually looking for? So I don't think there's like a defined answer with that, but that muscle is being practice at Antler, and then it's a huge part of like Kitty and I's work every single day, and I learn from Kitty in that all the time. But I think they're different things that you try and look for in different founders, and the age component with us is probably, I'd say, the biggest difference, really. And also we meet founders at the point at which they're building a company for them is not a choice. I've done 5 years of like. I've had an amazing career in different corporates and then startups, and I'm finally ready to build a company and I want to do it. It is, we would never have that in the Project Europe portfolios. I mean, people don't have time in their lives to have done that yet, but also this is they're building their lives to work. And it's they want to build really enduring, mission-driven companies, and they'll all have different paths to do that. Some will grow faster than others. Some have deep obsession with frontier physical AI. Half the portfolio we work with have got an element of hardware in. They're not typical fast-growing AI native businesses. They're really earnest, really hardworking, very playful, and just like deeply dedicated to creating real value and real companies from Europe.
I was wondering as well, so by looking at this particular age category and in a way encouraging people in this age category to start companies, become entrepreneurs, does it mean that you think that the value of formal higher education is not relevant for entrepreneurship as a thing, as an occupation?
I think it's no.
That's a very roundabout way of asking it, I guess.
Yeah, I love it. Do Project Europe not agree with education? I mean, majority of our founders have either not gone to university or have dropped out. That's again the age we're working with, and the stage at which we meet these builders and founders. The point is not being like contrarian to higher education. It's not like I'm better than university. Like that's not the point at all. It's actually that, I mean, I'm just talking for the founders that we work with that have either dropped out or haven't gone to university. It's the fact that they kind of have never really thought about it. Like they've just gone. They
go straight to it.
Yeah, they've worked as a software engineer alongside their high school from 16, and they've now got to 18. They can legally incorporate a company. They've had their co-founder, like, lifelong friend, and the next step is to build the company that they've always believed that they were going to do. So there's not a contrarian view to higher education. It's the same with us. Sometimes it's not thought about in the actual picture of company building.
Okay.
Yet to see how that trend will.
That's an interesting one. Yeah, absolutely. And do you have any stats on top of your mind on geography and demographics of your current cohort?
Yeah. We have 35 founders from 23 countries. I'm like,
great.
We always tell Harry to get the facts right. So I'm like, Jade, if you muck up the facts, that's not fair. So yeah, it's broad. Like a year ago, Kitty and I were like, well, I'm sure we're going to have the majority of founders, well, probably a good majority of founders will be back are going to be from the UK, from Germany, from France.
Yeah, that would be my expectation too.
Right,
yeah.
from the Nordics, and actually it's absolutely not been the case. We're spread across the entirety of Europe. Amazing company in Serbia that we spent a lot of time with at the end of December, building out of Belgrade, and then we've got Switzerland, Greece, Estonia, not Latvia yet, but yeah, all over. So.
Right. And what's it been like in terms of gender representation?
We have 4 women in our. That's obviously terrible, and it's something that. I mean, Kitty and I, we spent hours every week having this conversation and talking about it. And we speak to lots of female builders, really talented builders and really talented engineers. I met this amazing founder from Imperial last week. In her second year, she got a scholarship over from India to study at Imperial. Truly, fascinating young woman and so smart. She built, in 24 hours at a hackathon in India, she built a whole bionic, mind-controlled arm. I mean, just amazing. And we were halfway through this conversation, and I was like, you know what? And she said to me, I've got this company in mind. I think I want to build it. But I've been watching Agnesa, one of the Project Europe founders, build her company in brain-controlled interfaces in robotics. And I was like, we should chat to Agnesa. She's like, looking to build a team, and whether or not you want to build your own company or just talk to Agnesa because you're both obsessed with BCIs and neurology. This amazing engineer has been I think they spent 50 minutes on the phone with each other yesterday, and they're now building Cerebronics together. So I think there's so many different ways of looking at the impact of the work that we do, and that mattered a lot to Kitty and I yesterday, that Agnesa has hired an extraordinary woman onto her team that's going to basically lead the founding ML systems of the company. So, but the numbers we have in our cohort of founding women are too low.
Right, I see. Now, thank you so much, Jade. Thanks a lot for joining. Thanks for answering all the questions, and best of luck with everything that is to come. And yeah, we're gonna check in 3 or 4 years, if not before, to check whether you are at 100 companies, and maybe we can actually see the results and returns and everything. That's gonna be a better time.
Thank you, Andrii, very much.
Cheers.
Awesome.
Take care.
Thank you.